Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of JMC EduTrends, a discussion that informs, inspires, and transcends. To all our first-time viewers, this program streams live on www.facebook.com/Jose College and on YouTube at JMC EduTrends. Don't forget to type in your comments and questions, send your emojis, click the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you would be notified of future discussions on JMC EduTrends. Without much delay, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the program host of today's discussion.
Good morning, J. Marians, and to everyone who are joining us via Facebook and YouTube live stream. Welcome to another episode of JMC EduTrends, a discussion that informs, inspires, and transcends. My name is Donabel G. Pascual, and I will be your MC in today's discussion. But before we start, first I want to formally introduce to you the people behind today's discussion. Together with me on our technical is Ma'am Mirna Ambrosio, our communications director. Hello, Ma'am. We are also joined by our program head in the psychology department, Miss Abigail Grace B. Escobedo. Good morning, Ma'am Abby. And
Good
to our
morning.
audience who are currently watching live via Facebook and YouTube, a very warm welcome to all of you. We appreciate you for taking the time to join us in this webinar. Today, we will be discussing a very timely and interesting topic, and I know that you are all excited to meet our guest speaker in today's discussion. But before that, let me give some of the reminders in today's webinar. So if you have any concerns, kindly write your comments and questions in the comment section below. Okay, just a short recap. Last November 13, the psychology program has conducted their second webinar entitled Nourishing Wellness for a Flourishing New Normal with their invited resource speaker, Miss Kathleen Kate J. Abakita. We have learned about stress, its types and responses, and how important it is to use the coping mechanisms when facing stress. We also explored ways to improve wellness to strengthen our mental health for a better life ahead, most especially that we are dealing with a new normal during this pandemic. And of course, with that powerful reminder that we should focus on the things that are within our control and let go of the things that are certainly not within our control. And in continuation of the series of webinar in this Edu Trends, our today's discussion is very timely and will help us deal with the impact of stress in our lives, especially that we are dealing with the new normal during this pandemic. This aims to provide adequate knowledge on a young adult's guide to stress management. So to start off, we have Miss Abigail Grace B. Escobedo, the program head of psychology department, for the opening remarks.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. A very gloomy but very wonderful day to everybody. So, once again, this is our third psychology webinar. And I would personally thank Ma'am Mirna and her team for providing this great opportunity to become more exposed in teaching and providing learning through the use of this um, to the use of this portal. Once again, we welcome you for our third and final webinar for this semester, which is very timely and very relevant, not only for uh, other people who are not only for those people who are really involved in very stressful life, but also for, more importantly, this is really timely, lalo na sa mga students natin who are really honestly not well adjusted yet in terms of the changes that has been brought on this what we call new normal. So before we begin, I would like to personally acknowledge first my very very active team, my psychology officers who really done their job from the very beginning and to the very end of this webinar. So I would really like to thank them. Okay? Sila talaga yung pinakamalakas ko na team. Sila yung ano ko din, my backbone in terms of helping me to finish this webinar. And also, I would like to personally acknowledge also our guest speaker who not only is really very intelligent but also humble in a sense na he is one of my um, inspiration to who I am for who I am now. It's because I know him from my colleague, okay, and I know him from my best friend. He is one of the first psychologists to be a licensed psychologist here in the Philippines, and because of him, I was inspired to actually follow his footsteps na maging psychologist then. And then personally then he really provided me with a lot of inspiration and help in pursuing my dreams. So, I really would love to welcome our guest speaker for this morning. Okay, siya yung pang grand finale ng aming psych webinar. Okay, si Sir Glenn. So once again, thank you and everybody. I wish you all a very, very good morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Abby, for those pleasant remarks. Moving along, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today's discussion. Okay, let's just wait for a moment. Okay, Sir Glenn is a licensed psychometrician and psychologist whose practice includes psychometrics, clinical psychology, counseling, psychotherapy, and teaching. He finished his master's in psychology majoring in clinical psychology at San Pedro College and is currently taking his doctorate degree in psychology at Ateneo de Davao University. Please join me in welcoming virtually our guest speaker, Mr. Clint Rodney M. De Lima, RPM, MSP, RSI, and let us give him a virtual applause. Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning. I'll just share my PowerPoint. Ayun.
Good
So,
morning, Sir
hello
Glenn.
everyone. Good morning. So, hi Ma'am Abby. Thank you for those kind words. No? Parang I didn't realize the impact of my
Naging kay
parang
impact,
experience.
sir.
So, yeah, thank you. And hopefully, with this talk that I will be giving, we will be able to get at least some ways on how to manage stress, most especially this time of the pandemic, and especially as young adults. Kasi I assume, or most of us, or most of the audience, or most of the people who are watching right now fit into this category. And we know that this is a very crucial part, and also a crucial part in the development of ourselves. Yeah. So before I start with the talk, okay, I just like to do a mental health check-in for everyone who is watching. So as you can see on your screens, kindly use an emoji to share how you are feeling today. So a red heart for feeling really great, orange for pretty good, and yellow for okay, I guess. Green is for starting to struggle, a blue heart for having a hard time, and a purple heart for I need support. So okay, just send those emojis and let's just see how everyone is doing at this time. Hopefully, ano na, some there most of you are within the red and the orange heart, but
Ako nasa
so
ano ako,
asa man.
nasa orange.
Okay. So that's good, no? At least my chances pa to feel really great.
Meron sa live natin si George Ocanya, sabi niya nasa red na siya, really great.
Oh, that's good. hopefully you'll be able to sustain that that feeling for today, sir. Kasi we need that. We need to be happy even if alam natin na this time is very, very trying for all of us.
We also have Marigold Red Delta. Sabi niya really great kasi red na heart.
Mm, red now. So that's good. That's nice. At least some parang yun, as what I said a while ago, I hope na most of you feel red or orange at this time. But but of course we do acknowledge that people also feel they are struggling, they have a hard time. So um, at least this talk would help them in understanding how they are feeling or how they are what are they going through right now.
How about you, Don? Ano sa'yo, Don?
Kay Ma'am Don.
Pretty, pretty good lang po, ma'am.
Mhm.
Meron pa, si Angel Ganit yata doon. Ano yung sa kanya?
From Angel Ganit, okay, I guess. She gave a yellow heart.
Hopefully in the next few days evolve siya into an orange or a red heart so that they'd feel good and better, diba? They'd feel
Paano
good
kung
about themselves.
Sir Glenn,
Hmm.
paano kung black
Yes, ma'am.
heart yung binigay? Saan natin ilalagay yun?
I think ma'am,
Heartbroken.
na siya, parang hindi na siya kasali sa spectrum ng colors na binigay na.
Yun. Chris
So,
Mi Parago, Bianca Trisha.
Bianca.
Yeah, red sila, red.
red, wow. Yeah. That's a good parang it's nice to also check in ourselves every once in a while just to see how we are feeling, so that we'd see or we'd also know how we would function during the day and are we able to do the stuff that we need to do so that wala tayong ma-miss or the responsibilities that we have to accomplish or accomplished.
Okay.
So,
From
I
Novi
guess,
John
From Novi.
Palagsan.
I'm
Our
Sir
first
Novi.
regards ko sa idol nako na si Sir Glenn. O diba, marami ka talagang
Marami.
na-inspire, Sir Glenn.
Yung si Sir Novi, ano lang, si Sir Novi later.
Ito from Nani Jessa. I guess this is from our classmate, Ma'am Jessa. Sabi niya, tagging Sir Novi as well. Appeal me og parigards. Ay idol ko pod na. Grabe gyud ang ano ba. Grabe gyud ang inspiration na gihatag nimo Sir Glenn.
Ano ba, speechless. Speechless on pero
O diba, hindi
thank
mo
you
na
for,
mamalayan, nakaka-inspire ka na pa talaga.
again. At
Okay.
least people are looking at your journey as inspirational kahit sometimes you do encounter struggles and hardships during that parang full of on the road of fulfilling your dreams and of course your aspirations. And I'm thankful din na there are people who see it as an inspiration in achieving the way you achieve your dreams. So thank you.
Okay. So siguro we can proceed for your next discussions, Sir Glenn.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you for sending in your emojis. Na it just gives or it just shows na people are now willing to listen to themselves. Maybe dati kasi we do not give the opportunity to ourselves. We do not give the opportunity to listen to what we are really feeling. But as we all know, mental health is really important nowadays. It's not only looking after your physical health, but also your mental health. So thank you for the participants in showing your emojis. So I would like to start the talk by determining or defining what really is stress. Kasi we listen or we know that stress is kanuna na nato siya ma-feel, kanuna na nato mabati. siguro sa isa kasi man nakadaghan nito siya mabati in every little way or in every big thing that we experience. So when we talk about stress, APA defines it as the physiological or psychological response to internal or external stressors. So stress involves changes affecting nearly every system of the body. So we see that stress isn't only a psychological response, but it also is a physiological response. So when we talk about under stress, um, sa body response, what happens is there is adrenaline and cortisol injected in the bloodstream. So there were changes in the metabolic rate, changes sa heartbeat natin, sa blood pressure, and then that is the physiological effect of stress now. But what happens is, kung for example, we are faced with a challenge or something that is stressful, the more we are exposed to those hormones that are injected to our bloodstreams, the more chances that we get the feeling of stress, even if those are only small things that we are exposed to. So we have to be careful in be on the things that we face every day and how we handle them. Our mindsets are very important also. So yeah, again, stress is not only psychological, but it is also physiological. So what causes stress? So in this parang developmental stage as young adults, we encounter a lot of stressful situations. So some, if you are in school, schoolworks, ano pa ba, friends, um, difficulty of the subjects. But there is this one concept that I would like to share to everyone who are listening, that when it comes to stress or anxiety or fear or negative responses, this situation or these situations tend to bring out those type of emotions, most especially in a general sense. So what do we mean when we talk about VUCA or VUCA? So this is a term borrowed from the leadership theories of Warren Bennis and Bert Nanos, wherein VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So these situations that are considered volatile, um, the challenges or the situation is unexpected. But when we talk about stress, stress is a response to a challenge, diba? But a challenge is volatile if it is unexpected. We do not know when it will end, although there is information available, but we do not know until when the situation will be volatile. Then, uncertain situations, there are no concrete trends or patterns, which makes it difficult to establish a decision or a judgment. So, because of these uncertain situations, we are unable to infer the correct information for us to go and make a decision. So, that causes stress, of course. And then, complex situations wherein there is difficulty in understanding, there is difficulty in deciphering the challenge. So, because of its complexity, we feel now mahaitan ang ato ang emotions. Okay? So, there are tendencies that we might feel na, again, those physiological responses of stress and ambiguous situations wherein we do not know when it started and when it will end. So we are thrust in a situation na it is already occurring, and then we do not know or we cannot identify kung saan talaga siya nagsimula or saan talaga siya kailan siya matatapos. So in general, we talk about this VUCA as something na can cause stress directly sa atin, because situations are unprecedented. We do not know kung kailan tayo magkakaroon ng exposure to any stressor or any stressful situation. So the aim of this talk is being able to address what are the things that we can do in order for us to manage or at least avoid being under stress as young adults. So here begs the question, is stress good or bad? So para kasing ang connotation natin when it comes to stress is that it's always bad. Kasi we tend to feel na parang the emotions that we feel always when it talks about stress is always negative. Parang yung reaction natin toward a stressor is always Parang we do not see the good side of it. So we think about kaning stress is dili ni siya maayo para sa kuha. So we do some things that are unhealthy, unhelpful for us in coping. And so, to a point that we forget na kailangan pala nating i-cope up ang stress. And then nasanay na rin tayo na we are faced with these kinds of situations every day that we do not tend to look for anything helpful or healthy for us to cope with that stress that we are feeling. So later we will be discussing if stress can be good or bad. So before we do that, we also have to differentiate the longevity of stress. No, so we talk about acute and chronic stress, wherein acute is just a short-term response. Examples of these are parang motorcycle accident, argument with your boss, and it can be quick. And you can be quick in coping with that acute stress. So you can just breathe or calming breathing or do any physical activity to cope up with that acute stress. But then there is also the chronic stress wherein it's persisting, long time, constantly reoccurring. And examples of these situations where you can feel chronic stress is toxic relationships, poverty, and discrimination. And we know that because you are constantly exposed to that um, to that stressor or stressful situation, it can damage both mental and physical health. But we need to also take note that people respond to stressors differently. What others consider acute stressors can be chronic to some. So again, we do not discount the struggles of others. So we need to also check within ourselves if this situation that applies to other people can be considered acute or chronic stress for us for a personal point of view. Now we go back to the question, is stress good or bad? So when we talk about bad stress, it's what we call distress. Okay? So distress is a pain or suffering affecting the body, a bodily part, or the mind. Negative stress and the opposite of eustress are what we call as positive stress. So what are its characteristics? It's unhealthy, it's toxic, and it's bad. And because of those negative characteristics, it slows you down. So you're unable to perform those day-to-day activities that are necessary for yourself. So what are the kinds of negative stressors? So death of a loved one, money problems, and unemployment. And this causes anxiety or concern, can be short or long term, perceived as outside of our coping abilities, feels unpleasant, decreases performance, can lead to mental and physical problems. So we can see that that negative connotation of stress is actually real. Kasi meron tayong tinatawag na distress. So if you are feeling, if there are negative emotions brewing inside of yourself because of the stressful situation or the stressor you are thrust into, so that can be called as distress. However, of course, when we talk about negative, there is also an opposite side or the positive side, which we call the eustress. So eustress is a positive form of stress having a beneficial effect on health, motivation, performance, and emotional well-being. Of course, it doesn't always feel good. It will make you feel preoccupied, your heart's pounding, and you can feel the adrenaline in your body, but it's good for you. Why? Because it drives you to achieve better things. So, of course, the same physiological mechanism of stress happens either way with distress or eustress. So, adrenaline and cortisol are still injected in your bloodstream. However, eustress gives you the motivation or the drive to achieve better things. So, what are some of the examples? We have positive stressors: wedding, passing the board exam, promotions, or winning a competition. Traveling can also cause you stress. Learning a new hobby can also create positive stress. And what are its characteristics? It motivates us, focuses our energies, we feel excited, it improves our performance, and is within our coping abilities. So I would like to discuss eustress a little bit further. So, yun nga, I would like to go back to the connotation that we always have when we talk about stress. It's negative. But Practitioners, psychiatrists, psychologists say that eustress is exciting, and it even if it is a stressful event, there is still a chemical response in the body. So there is still that process of injecting, parang releasing of hormones. But again, eustress is something that can help us in achieving or in doing the things that are helpful for us. So what can it do for us emotionally? So eustress can result in positive feelings of contentment, inspiration, motivation, and flow. Also, in psychological implications, eustress helps us build our self-efficacy, autonomy, and resilience. Physically, it helps us better our physique. So eustress helps us creates motivation in exercising and eating healthy. So we will also discuss that later. So how can we find eustress? Eustress at work helps us in learning new things and challenging ourselves outside of our comfort zones. Personal interests, pursuing a new hobby or a new parang parang thing that you can do so that it can create a better um, emotion or better feelings inside you. Traveling is also one way, as what I've mentioned a while ago, because even if it's stressful, you bring big bags, you are unfamiliar of the place, but still the feeling of being in a new place, in parang discovering that place on your own or with friends, it creates a positive feeling or positive emotion inside, psychologically, emotionally, and physically. So how can you include stress or positive stress in your life? So try to learn new things every day, even if they are big or small. At least you are, even if it's stressful on your end, the output would be very helpful, would be very productive on your end because you're able to learn something new. And then, as what I've mentioned, push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Try to look for things um, that are normally not what you do. So yung mga bagay that you are interested in but maybe hesitant to do that, but please use stress as something that would motivate you to do that or to indulge in some new pursuits that would be very helpful for you in the end. And then, of course, learn how to set goals. Learn how to set your expectations so that your stress would not overwhelm you and would thus propel you to do better things. And can distress be transformed into eustress? Of course, as what I've said in the introduction, our mindset matters. So instead of of it as a threat, think of it as a challenge, because distress views the threat, perceives threat rather, and then eustress perceives it, stressful situations as a challenge. So we better look at it in a different way so that we're able to see these threats and transform it into challenges. So this is a topic that is really relatively new because we talk about young adulthood as something that is new in the parang classification of developmental stages, because the studies have shown that the brain does not fully mature until the mid or late 20s. So this has an implication in decision making, in tolerating stressful situations. So those practitioners who have researched this have labeled this stage as the transition from adolescence to young adulthood to adulthood as young adulthood or emerging adulthood. So again, this or some people or some practitioners refer to young adulthood as late adolescence. So this time is also parang an extension of adolescence wherein we build our identities, we build ourselves, our interests, our hobbies, our values, but we are slowly pushing ourselves in a more objective way. Kasi in adolescence, we tend to try everything out, di ba? But when we transition to young adulthood, although we tend to still experiment, but we experiment in a way that is tailored for our taste or tailored for how we perceive ourselves during that time. So what could be the developmental tasks for young adults? So adjust to new physical sense of self. So although we are labeled now as young adults, there are still instances where we have to develop there are still physical developments. So at this point, there might be instances that there will be late bloomers. Okay, so there are physical primary sex characteristics that would still emerge during this time, and people are still adjusting to it. Also, adjust to a sexually maturing body and feelings. So at this time, although in adolescence there is also a chance where we are able to explore our sexual maturity. However, we in young adults, we are now determining how masculine we are, how feminine we are, and we explore with new our sexual identity, of course. So, are we developing as ano na ba, parang straight or heterosexuals, homosexuals, or are we attracted to the same sex? Are we attracted to the opposite sex? And then develop and apply abstract thinking skills. So what happens at this time is that because we are adults now, there are more opportunities for us to utilize our abstract thinking skills. So in adolescence, there are siguro we are pinagbibigyan tayo na we are not able to think clearly enough for us. Kasi nga we are still adolescents, our body, our brain is still developing. It is still the case for young adults. However, we are given more chances of exploring our own decisions, our own judgments, and acting upon those decisions and judgments. So although kung sa adolescents, we are ano ba, parang guided, we need more guidance. In young adults, there are instances where we do decisions on our own. However, we still go back to that guidance that was provided by our caregivers or other people who we see as our maternal or paternal figures. And then, yeah, adopt a personal value system. So, as children and adolescents, our value system are often patterned with our parents or our primary caregivers. But as young adults now, we are given the chance to establish our own value system. So it might clash with the value system that we grew up with, or we are exposed to experiences that strengthen or solidify those value systems that we had previously. But then again, for young adults in this stage, we learn to establish a value system that we adhere to or that we believe. Kasi what matters is that we are able to establish something that is for ourselves na. We are slowly moving away from our parents, our home, or from people that we used as a model for us. So we are able to now establish the identity that we want to establish because of the experiences that we have. And then develop stable and productive peer relationships. So during this time, adolescents and young adults, we know that productive peer relationships are important. So during adolescence, we have a lot of friends. Okay, so we enjoy we enjoy the company of a lot of people, peers, other peers, family, relatives. But during this time, in young adults, we're slowly establishing a peer relationship that we see that we can parang have even if ano na tayo, parang into the middle and old adulthood. So we are cultivating now those relationships that we consider as long term. It's not necessarily parang romantic relationships, but those support groups or support systems that we need in traversing this journey that we call young adults or young adulthood. So now we have discussed stress and young adulthood. So when we combine those two, what could be the implications? Knowing that stress is not only found in work, is not only found in a family, is not only found in friends, but also in the developmental stages or in the developmental stage of young adulthood. So in the study that was conducted by Espiritu Santo Sanchez and Ferido in 2015, They studied about the stressors and stress responses of Filipino college students. So here are the top 10 sources of stress that they have identified. So first is academics, or the difficulty of subject matter. Workload, so amount of workload due to the subjects. Time management, how they manage their time between personal and school life. Responsibilities due to being one's own. So in college, sometimes we live away from our families. So it also causes stress because you do your own laundry. Kung nakasanayan natin that other people do it for us, this is the time where we tend to do it we do it on our own. So cooking food and budgeting expenses, etc. Also financial problems, extracurricular activities, parental pressure on academic performance, after graduation plans, workloads, amount of work that needs to be exerted on organizations, fraternities, sororities, and of course peer relations. But I would also like to parang single out social media as a source of stress for our young adults during this time, because we know that when we talk about social media, it's very potent. No, when we talk about it's a potent area of where we can see or parang gain information. However, how we filter that information is can cause problems, especially for us young adults or for you young adults. Kasi what we see in the social media, sometimes we feel pressured to keep up, or sometimes we feel pressured na bakit ganito yung experiences ng iba, bakit ako hindi. So sometimes those thoughts, those negative thoughts and feelings tend to create discomfort and tend to create a lot of pressures atin to a point that it creates stress on our end. So hopefully later on tips on how to manage stress, you will be able to get those information on how to really manage or really control whenever you are stressed or whenever you need to breathe or need to take a break. So here is one thing that we need to take into consideration when we talk about stress or stressful situations. Or these are the stages of stress. So, granting you are exposed to a stressor, prolonged exposure. So when we talk about prolonged, it's chronic. There are a lot of instances where you are exposed to stress. It depends on what situation. So the first thing that you would feel is fatigue. Fatigue. So this is a feeling of continually worn out and developing a more negative outlook. So this is the start of you questioning kung is it still worth it? Is it still helpful for me? Is it still healthy? However, if you still persist on exposing yourself to a stressor, the second thing that you would feel is pain. So pain can either be emotional, it can either be physical. So emotional pain, you would you would cry, you would feel unmotivated. Physical pain, magsakit yung ulo, magsakit ang mga kasukasuan, or any physical pain that would say that you are stressed already. Then after that, you felt pain, but still you persisted in facing that stressful situation, or you're still facing that. So you go to burnout. So you talk about burnout. This is now the loss of the traditional motivation. So you question yourself now, why did I do this in the first place? Bakit ko ba ito ginawa? Na alam na parang nagsisisi ka na in this time na stress naman na akong nabati ani ngano gisugdan ngano gihuman ngano gisudlan ko pa mani. And then if you still persisted, and then there is still that parang nagging feeling of burnout, then you proceed to break down. So breakdown is now having the trouble or inability to meet normal operating expectations. So instead of going to work or going to school or going doing the necessary things that you have to do every day, you just lay in bed and then you do not do anything. And then it can lead to panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and one thing that we are avoiding is that a development of mental illness. So there is a possibility, because we are continually exposed to stress, there's a possibility that we will develop mental illnesses. So as human beings, we are aware of what we are really feeling, or ano ba yung nararamdaman natin. So we have to always check in with ourselves from time to time, because hindi, even if the body is saying na tama na, but still our mind is siguro um used to the fact, or used to the idea that you can recover from stress easily. There might be a problem with that. So we have to um, really check and really see if kung yung stage ba na ano tayo is, do we really need to continue, or do we have to take a break, or do we have to stop, or do we have to take ourselves away from that situation that is causing us stress. And how do we recognize that we are already stressed? So this might have been repeated previously, or you have parang idea na about it, but I would just like to reiterate. So emotional instability, irritability, and anger. So just a small inconvenience, you get irritated, you get angry at people. So that could be a sign that you are stressed. Changes in behavior also. Trouble sleeping. So this is one thing that you should take note whenever you feel kulang imong tulog, or sobra imong tulog, katulugon gihapon ka, or um, sige putol-putol imong tulog. That might be a indication that there is something going on that needs to be addressed. Okay? Neglecting responsibilities, eating changes, physical symptoms, or getting sick more often, those are the signs of you are under stress, or yes, you're under a stressful situation. So here we proceed to stress management, or how do you manage your stress as young adults. So because we know that as young adults there are a myriad of problems that we face. So there are physical changes, emotional, psychological, sexual, spiritual, every aspect of who you are. There is a rapid change because you are now transitioning from what we call as an adolescent up. Now you are transitioning to an adult. But before you go as a full adult, you have to still undergo the gateway that what we call young adulthood. So because of those stressors that we face, because of those challenges that we have to face, we forget that there are healthy coping mechanisms that can help us reduce that stress. Siguro nasanay na rin tayo that whenever we are thrust in a stressful situation, what we do is we go drinking, kumain ng parang binge eating, and then para do unhealthy things that could, even if it reduces stress, it does not erase the fact that you are coping unhealthily. So here are some tips on what you can do as young adults in coping with stress. So first is exercise and eat healthy. So in exercising, it releases endorphins, and this makes you feel good about yourself. And then it's meditation in motion. So what happens is, for example, you got irritated, or you encountered something bad along the way, or parang may nag-away kayo ng jowa mo, or ano ba, and then it gets irritated, it gets you parang not in the mood. When you engage in exercise, what happens is that it helps you focus on those areas that you wanted to exercise on. So for example, nagdo ka triceps, nag-cardio ka. So instead of focusing on those instances that made you irritated, your focus is now shifted on those body parts, or those areas of your body areas of your body that you're exercising. So instead of thinking of those irritants or those stressors, you are now focusing on yourself. So it's also called meditation in action. And then it improves your mood. So regular exercise increases self-confidence, improves your mood, helps you relax, and lower symptoms of mild depression and anxiety. And then when it comes to your diet, so avoid caffeine. Limit lang ang caffeine, because we know that caffeine feels parang siguro maka-hyper sa tua, but then in the end, it does not reduce stress. Okay? So limit your caffeine, and when you eat, of course, take it as an opportunity for you to meditate. Kasi it doesn't have to be that when you eat, kailangan marami kayo, kailangan maingay, kailangan may ginagawa ka. it can also be an opportunity for you to take a seat, eat your meal, focus on your eating, so that you can contemplate, you can introspect, and then taking it as a way of for you to relax. So even if kumakain ka, you just have to focus on what you're doing and not focus on what else is happening around you. And here is one thing that we might be all guilty of, which is overeating. So, kung for example, uy, naman ng exam, kapoy kaayo, kaon sa ta. So there's a tendency that we overeat. So kung may natag overeat, take eating which is what is above the normal food intake. So this causes feelings of parang guilt and feeling bad about yourself. So kung 'di ba, if you think of it as a way of coping with stress, you just have to be observant about it. You just have to manage what you eat, even if siguro nasanay na tayo na one way of coping is overeating or eating a lot. So this might be an opportunity for us to evaluate our food intake and check and see if is it helping us reducing stress, or is it increasing our parang stressor, or is it making us unhealthy along the way. So we need to check on those. We need to check also with our food intake from time to time. And then, ayun. So exercise and eat healthy is important in managing your stress as young adults. So as what I've mentioned in parang a sign, or parang sign of being under stress is trouble in sleeping. So what happens is we cannot function well whenever we lack sleep, or we cannot think clearly whenever we lack sleep. So sleep is one good way in coping with stress. So it is a powerful stress reducer. So for example, you are doing schoolwork, you are doing parang something that is heavy, or something that is stressful, or something that is parang mabigat sa inyo. Take a few moments, take a nap, or ano ba, in the evening, parang regulate your sleeping pattern so that the opportunity for you to be stressed will be reduced. Kasi yun nga, sleep is a wonderful way of reducing stress. So whenever you're stressed, whenever you're under pressure, just take a few moments to nap, or parang you sleep early so that you can keep up with your stress, or so that hindi na masyadong maapektuhan yung way of thinking natin, yung way of judgment, or the way of inferring things, because lack of sleep causes that. So for us to keep up with the lack of sleep, we need to adjust our sleeping patterns so that we can keep up with the daily stressors, or the daily things that we have to do. So here, ayun. Sometimes when we are stressed, what we do is we resort to alcohol, smoking, and drugs. So that is not a good way of coping. Okay, so instead of coping, it creates more adverse effects sa atin. So it can lead to addiction. It can lead to unhealthy ways of managing your stress. So for example, kung na-stress ka when it comes to your loved one, school, or parents, or saan ba, you resort to smoking, you resort to drinking, imuhagaron mo mga amigo mag-inom, or magduog drugs. So that is not a good way of coping. So although you may be relieved, but there will be a huge tendency that you will be dependent on it. So gamayng stress lang, you resort to these addictive substances. So we better look for ways that are more helpful for us, so that we are able to remove these unhealthy options sa ating katawan, or sa ating coping mechanism, so that we are okay, or we become healthy in the long run. Also, relaxation techniques are one way of helping with stress management. So breathing exercises, relaxation techniques, meditation can be a great way in managing our stress. But then one thing is that relaxation can also be doing the things that you find relaxing, such as painting, reading, cooking, baking. So it doesn't necessarily have to be yoga or meditation, but doing the things that are relaxing for you can be a way of reducing your stress, or one way of reducing whatever is bothering us. So, what are the parang benefits of relaxation? So, slowing heart rate, lowering blood pressure, slowing your breathing rate, reducing activity of stress hormones, of course, increasing blood flow to major muscles, reducing muscle tension and chronic pain, improving sleep quality, lowering fatigue, reducing anger and frustration, and boosting confidence to handle problems. So those are just the benefits of doing relaxation techniques. And what are some of the more common relaxation techniques that are more into yoga, meditation? So Tai Chi can also be one. Biofeedback, music and art therapy, aromatherapy, and hydrotherapy. So um, there is also this technique that is used by some psychiatrists in managing the stress, which includes breathing. So the 4-7-8 technique. So first, what you do is you empty your lungs of air and then breathe in quietly through the nose for 4 seconds. So you breathe through your nose for 4 seconds and then hold the breath for a count of 7 seconds. And then you exhale that um, air you breathe for 8 seconds. So how you breathe is how you expunge that breath is pursing your lips and then carefully doing that for 8 seconds. So do it constantly. It will greatly help you in reducing your stress. Studies have also shown that it can help you sleep. And then there are also tips that as a teacher or as students you can use that 4-7-8 technique before the start of class. Or for example, you have to present in front of your classmates. You do that breathing technique so that you can manage your anxiety or stress during that time. Another important thing that can help reduce stress or can help us manage our stress is the support groups. So this is an important aspect in creating your stress management plan, because we know that in this period or in this stage, we are building relationships, we are creating meaningful relationships. So it helps that us as individuals, we have a very strong support system that can help us go through a lot of things during our in our lives. So it's important that we carefully choose those people who helps us manage our stress, our pressures, our anxieties as a person. So I've encountered patients who are already on the brink, or clients rather, or already on the brink of attempting suicide. That one thing that really helped them in taking those parang stopping that decision is their friends. So tinawagan sila ng mga friends, tinawagan siya ng friends nila, telling her or telling him that punta ka muna sa amin, ganito gawin natin. So there was a show of support, even if parang that person who wanted to die through suicide was really bent on doing it, pero with just a call of the friends or the support group, he or she was able to take it back. And then we do a check in from time to time, and then we see naman na the clients are doing well or the patients are doing well. And here is a new way of coping with your stress, no? Going out or going outside or communing with nature. So a study has shown that as college students, it helps that you go outside and take in the surroundings for at least 10 minutes. So enjoying lang the scenery, the nature background, or yung parang paligid natin for 10 minutes, it greatly helps with the mood. So it's not only parang in a school setting, but as individuals also, we go out, we enjoy going to the beach, climbing mountains, just enjoying nature. So immersing ourselves in nature, or kung saan ba tayo pwede makapunta that has something that is parang natural, it can greatly help us in reducing stress. So as students or as teachers, as per, um, person, parang normal people, we take this chance, or we have this chance to go out to enjoy whatever nature can offer to us, and then take that as an opportunity to parang um, check ourselves, and then hopefully when we are exposed to that, our stressors or our stress levels are reduced. So ang ano lang natin talaga is to schedule trips maybe, so that we can check go go with go with the flow when it comes to nature, and then see if, yun nga, parang ang sarili ba natin is seeing this opportunity of being in nature is really helpful for us. So go out, but of course, wag muna ngayon because of the pandemic. But of course, we knowing that we can go out and enjoy nature. So hopefully in the future, we schedule trips, or we at least in the school setting lang, or kung saan ba tayo nandun, we just grab that opportunity to immerse ourselves in the natural setting, and then then seek that stress reduction, so that whenever we have to do the things that we have to do, kaya natin siyang gawin. And also, here are some of the ways that we can manage our stress. So talking about it, not only to professionals, but to people you trust, doing something fun, writing about it, or journaling. And then do not talk to yourself negatively, because when you talk to yourself negatively, the more it creates distress, the more it creates anxiety, the more stressed you get. And then learning to say no from time to time. Kung di na kaya, and then kung hindi na natin kaya, learn to how to say no. Kasi if we accept things that are parang overwork na tayo, or overwhelmed na tayo, and then we are still pursuing things that are not healthy for us or not helpful, it can create a lot of negative emotions. So try to say no from time to time, and then time for a break, or take a break. We are not robots, we are only humans, so we only have a finite resource of finite resource of our capability to do these things. So before we're able to do responsibilities, or do our day-to-day activities, we have to take a break. Okay, so taking a break, kung before you start with your work, or you drink a cup of coffee, you drink a cup of tea, or you just meditate for 5 minutes, or you breathe for 5 minutes. So that can really help before you start your day. So this was mentioned by our host a while ago. So before we are able to, before we see the parang general situation, or generalability of things, we also need to see what are the things that we have to focus on, rather than on the things that we cannot. Because if we overthink, if we focus on those things na hindi naman natin hawak, the more agitated we get, the more stressed we get. So what we have to do as individuals, or as people who are constantly bombarded with a lot of stressful situations, we just have to focus on what we can control, and then let go of those you cannot control. Because yun nga, those are the things that we have on our end. So we just have to look at those things that we are able to manage, we are able to control, before we and let go of the things that we are unable to control. So, ayun. So, stress can create adverse effects, diba? So, stress can be really can lead into some serious matters. Some can develop mental illnesses, some can decrease functioning. So, if you're overwhelmed, overworked, overstressed, burnt out, kailangan ng further na help or management, please contact these numbers. The National Care for Mental Health, they have their official Facebook page, email if you want to contact them privately. Call them through their trunk line, mobile numbers. They have this here, so you can contact them whenever you want, whenever you think that you need professional help. And ayun. So before I end this talk, please take your mental health as your priority. Do not disregard it as um, something that would you would just parang asikasuhin lang natin siya if everything is going to ano na parang everything is going to parang ano na siya, parang hindi na siya nagwo-work out. So before we reach that point of being burnt out, being on the verge of breaking down, take mental health as your priority, and also do not take it for granted, because nowadays because of the passage of the mental health law and the availability of the mental health practitioners in the Philippines, there are a lot of chances or opportunities for us if we need professional help to check to seek those professionals or those practitioners. And help is available, so we need to just look for those people, and then those people naman are willing to accommodate you. And hopefully this talk has helped us or helped you in understanding your emotions, yourself, and you're able to pick at least some of the tips that I just relayed, so that as young adults you're able to find a stress management plan or stress reduction plan that is very helpful for you. And hopefully you use that in your at work or in school or wherever. So thank you for listening, and I hope you have a good morning.
Thank you, Sir Clint, for sharing your expertise with us. Indeed, it was a very informative discussion, very timely and relevant for all of us, since everyone can relate, most especially in this stressful time of pandemic, no? Um, it is also very important to recognize our stress and to know how to handle it in order for us to still function productively and efficiently. And I agree with you, sir, no, that sometimes we need to learn to say no and take time for a break and focus on what we can control and just let go of the things that we cannot control. And now, let us move along in answering some of the questions submitted during today's presentation. Okay, just a short reminder for everyone that we will be giving e-certificates after the webinar. So we encourage you to stay until the end of this event. It will be posted in the comment section in the YouTube and in the Facebook Live.
One of the hardest and most exciting choices you'll ever make is choosing and deciding your career. Although chance may play a part, come prepared. Consider the rule of three. Rule number one. Choose a career that is something you really like to do. Rule number 2. Do your research and choose carefully and thoughtfully. Rule number 3. Make it meaningful. You may consider becoming a psychologist if you are interested in working with people and have a scientific mind. Psychologists work in many areas of society such as business, health, education, and sport. They use scientific methods and knowledge about human mind and behavior to help deal with practical problems such as helping people overcome depression, stress, trauma, or phobias, easing the effects of parental divorce on children, helping to deal with addictions, helping alleviate educational problems such as dyslexia and learning disabilities, speeding up recovery from brain injury, helping to stop or prevent bullying at school or in the workplace, making sure that people are happy at work and perform well, helping the police, courts, and prison service to perform more effectively, helping athletes to perform better. Here are some of the many opportunities you can find in the field of psychology: psychometrician, psychologist, psychiatrist, human resource manager, advertising agents, career counselor, case manager, child care worker, family services worker, child protection specialist, rehabilitation advisor, researcher, psychiatric technician, probation and parole officer, rehabilitation specialist, social service specialists, teachers, behavior analyst, guidance counselor, army psychologist. If you are a person who has the desire to help in the mental well-being of humanity, then psychology is the right career for you. Be a person that kindles light and life. Enroll in Jose Maria College and flex on the new normal in education with our flexible learning modality for an assured, consistent, and quality education. For more information, visit our website at www.jmc.edu.ph or our Facebook page at facebook.com/Jose Maria College. You can also email admissions@jmc.edu.ph for admission requirements for the BS in Psychology.
All right. So, I guess that is all for our advertisement. So, nag-short break kami sandali. So, I guess the floor is yours, Don. So, we can continue.
So we we will now entertain some of the questions of our viewers, sir. We have here from,
Yung
let's
questions
just
kasi
wait for a
sa
while.
YouTube and Facebook.
Okay. Okay, from Rhea May Solomon. How can an introvert individuals relieve stress if they are inclined to be silent and
So
uncommunicative?
that's a ano, no, parang interesting question. But even if you're an extrovert and or an introverted, okay bang audio ma'am no? Okay po? Okay. So
Yes,
even if
sir.
you're introverted or an extroverted individual, you're still you still have those parang interests or pursuits that you find fun, you find interesting, you find comfortable in doing. So um, just do those things na you find parang enjoyment in doing kasi um, yun nga, stress naman wala namang pinipili even if you are outgoing, even if you are a silent or an uncommunicative. So yun, just identify those things that you are parang comfortable in doing and find the enjoyment in doing so so that you're still able to relieve your stress. And then kung siguro hesitant ka to approach other people, maybe this would be also a time you also need to at least parang ano ba, parang not force but also try to engage yourself in other with other people so that when the time comes, it will be easy for you to seek help whenever you need to. So, yun po.
Okay, thank you, sir. We also have a question from Juby Belyeza.
Mm.
Unsaon pag-change sa perspective sa tao para di himuong stressor ang tanang butang?
Mm. So that's also ano parang a question na also would see kung ano ba talaga yung ano natin, parang perspective on things ko. Kasi small or big things, even if it's a stressor for me, can be a different, even if it is a little stressor for me, pero sa ibang tao, it's already big enough to create distress or ano na, parang anxiety or feeling of fear. So again, mindset is also one thing that could help. So even siguro difficult, it's easy for us or it's easy for me na lang siguro to say that you just have to change your perspective on things by seeing it as a threat, seeing it as a challenge rather than a threat. But it takes practice. It takes a lot of parang it takes a lot of siguro constant na practice that whenever you're faced with a stressful situation or a parang harrowing experience, what you have to do is that you just have to change your perspective. You have to perceive it as a challenge instead of a threat. It's not because in psychology we believe that as human beings we are capable of recovering because we have those tools, we have those mechanisms in doing so. So siguro if you can try to do it on your own, you do it on by yourself muna in transforming those opportunities into and transforming those threats into challenges. But if you do need help or further help, do not hesitate naman to seek for help, especially with your peers, your family, or those people who you think can provide you the answers in doing so.
Thank you, sir. We
Yes,
have
ma'am.
also from L. Marie Jane topic. Ang question niya, sir, is stress linked to anxiety and panic attacks?
Yes, it can be linked to anxiety and panic attacks kasi when we talk about, or in abnormal psychology now, we have the four Ds. And one of them is distress or stress, in other words. So people who are constantly exposed to very stressful situations, who are unable to take themselves out of that situation, or parang they do not know where to go, or they do not know when to seek for help. Whenever there is a prolonged exposure to that, there is a tendency that they might develop mental illnesses, and those or these anxiety attacks and panic attacks. So before we are able to have those anxiety and panic attacks, kasi when we have those attacks, it doesn't necessarily mean na kailangan may history ang isang tao of mental of anxiety or panic attack. It can happen lalo na if we're really under duress or stress na kailangan na we become too overwhelmed with what's happening that we just panic, we feel anxious. So yes, stress can be one of the things that can lead to anxiety and panic attacks, or one of the causes rather.
And just to add on, sir, diba, when we're talking also as well with stress, it is also a factor to consider yung sa um, hereditary na na causes because
Mm-mm.
'di ba, if your family is really into anxiety or medyo mataas yung possibility nila for anxiety, so hindi talaga natin pwedeng ma-remove yung
Mm-mm.
possibility na baka siya magkaroon din ng ganong tendency.
Mm. So yeah, yun nga, para kung siguro nasa ano na natin genes, no?
Oo.
Na it can be very also, very susceptible na rin tayo. And even if, yun nga, parang siguro that stressful situation or that ano ba yung incident na yun is only what we can consider, other people can consider it as small, but when we already are predisposed with stress, parang with that in your genes, siguro grabe na yung reaction natin to a point that it will lead to anxiety or panic attacks. So hopefully if ganon, we are able to identify, or we are able to um, parang ano ba, check, or tingnan natin kung yung situation na ba yun is stressful na sa atin, and if we should remove ourselves from that, or we should do the things that could manage our stress. So
Thank you
hopefully
for
yun
that,
na
sir.
yeah.
We have another question from MAP Sabili. How do you overcome cabin fever, especially that most are in quarantine lockdown, work from home, study from home?
Sorry. So how do you overcome cabin fever? So yun na, in this current pandemic, most of us are just within our homes, no, and it has caused studies have shown that it caused a lot of parang ano ba, caused a lot of stress sa atin, most especially those people na sanay na lumabas, sanay na whenever their coping mechanisms are going outside and kung for example yung stressor nila is a family. So if they are exposed to that, what they do is they parang inaalis mo na yung sarili nila sa stressor nila. They go outside, they spend time with friends. But because of the pandemic, we are parang ano lang, bound by our homes. So siguro in this point in time, we are how many months in the pandemic? We are like siguro 9 months na, tama ba? Since March. So um, parang congratulate yourself if you haven't been you haven't noticed anything na from haven't noticed anything yet, noticed any changes from yourselves. But in overcoming cabin fever, maybe di lang siguro maybe the definition I have in my mind is different, but try to look for other things that you could do, other interests that you can build, other pursuits that you can develop so that you could um, reduce the cabin fever. Kasi although we are not parang expected to be productive as the way before lockdown, but doing something or doing something that is new for us or ginagawa na natin dati but we just didn't have the time to continue that, this will be the chance to do that. And by doing that or by doing those activities na that could help us reduce it could reduce also cabin fever or it could overcome cabin fever. So just do those things na um, could help you in could help in reducing that feeling. So for example, ang nauso natin ngayon is gardening, di ba? So nauso na yung term na plantito and plantita. So that is one way of overcoming cabin fever because you have a lot of parang siguro you spend a lot of time in with your plants kasi naman siguro yung plants natin hindi na naman isa, di ba? So there will be a lot of plants that we have to take care of. So yun, that is one activity that we can do. Also, taking new skills. If hindi ka marunong magluto, then you could go on YouTube, learn how to cook, bake if possible. Ano pa ba? Painting. So those activities that you can just do within your homes that could help you overcome that feeling of being bound lang within the four corners of your home. You can do it as long as those activities are helpful for you. Hindi siya yung parang harmful. So just take those activities and hopefully the cabin fever or the feeling of being parang bound by your homes will be overcome.
And sir, regarding that, di ba, nauso din talaga yung online shopping ngayon eh, di ba? Siguro that it's also one way of relieving your stress, di ba? Lalo
Mhm.
na kung dumadating na yung 11, 12,
12-12.
we can still consider that as as a way of relieving stress, di ba?
Mhm.
Kasi we
Mhm.
find other ways kasi dati siguro nung wala pa si pandemic, ikaw talaga yung tipong madalas talaga sa mga malls para mag-shop
Mhm.
ng kung ano-anong mga gamit na gusto mo. But here comes the pandemic and then nawala yung way of coping mo. So in terms of providing another way to do your thing, at least see in 12-12, I'm not saying na it's true to all. Kasi baka nagiging
Mhm.
stressful din naman sa kanila yung bigla-bigla sila nag-a-add to cart tapos biglang may nagte-text sa kanila ng, hello po, nandito na yung order niyo, di ba? Ibang stress din yun. Pero
Mhm.
it's for some who usually tends that shopping is a way of this relieving your stress. Diba? So, pwede
Mhm.
yun.
Pwede, pero do it in moderation kasi every time
Yes.
na wala kang
Yes.
ginagawa, Shopee, Lazada, so you have to keep on saying pagdating
Biglang
ng mga
biglang
orders mo, stress ka,
cellphone,
wala ka ng pambayad. So just do
biglang
it in
dadating yung
moderation lang
order.
talaga.
Oo, kasi minsan din naman hindi mo na alam na, hala, na-add to cart ko pala to. May mga order na bigla-biglang dumating na hindi mo alam. O di kayo yung mga food
So
panda
na-shock
na
ka
mga
na.
orders, yung mga ganyan.
Mhm.
In moderation,
Mm.
everything, ano ba kay Catriona ba? Everything is
Catriona
within
Gay.
moderation.
Tama, ma'am. Okay, sir. We also have a question from Francis C. Solomon. Paano po ba kapag gulong-gulo na at nai-stress na at tsaka nawawalan na ng gana? How to cope up and where to start?
Mm.
Parang may
So this
pinagdadaanan
might
si
be,
si Francis.
yes, para ano, siguro i-ano lang natin siya, ma'am. Na ano, parang tulungan talaga natin si Francis. Kasi this might be a ano na, parang a sign that one siguro kung sa ano na natin dun sa stages of stress na I mentioned sa presentation ko, maybe this is na ano na nasa burnout stage na si Sir Francis. Okay? So siguro ano ba, parang it's a sign na talaga na you have to take a step back and then look at the parang bigger picture. Kasi when we are focused on a lot of, siguro when our focus is parang given to a lot of different things, yun yung parang nagkakos sa atin ng parang feeling of being overwhelmed. Like sa young adults natin, if you are at one of siguro the main focus or areas of focus natin would be school, family, peers. Okay? So if we divide our focus into those three things, syempre might there are feelings of ano talaga. Lalo na kapag hindi natin ma-manage. Okay? So take a step back na lang, and then when you look at those when you look at the bigger picture, you have to also identify kung saan ba nanggagaling yung stress mo or kung saan ba nanggagaling yung problem mo. Could it be coming from yourself? Could it be coming from other people? Or could it be coming from the environment? So ngayon, siguro nakadagdag ang pandemic, the COVID, which is adding to your stressor that is coming from the environment. But we also have to identify kung saan ba nanggagaling yung other sources of stress natin. Is it internal or external? And then once we are able to determine that, we have to confront it or we have to acknowledge it, kumbaga. And then in the way of acknowledging it is what you say na ito yung source of stress ko. So for example, school, what can I do? Maybe seek the help of your classmates, seek the advice of your teacher, okay? And then kung sa family, if you are able to identify na na kanang when I'm in a family setting and in this pandemic, parang hindi siya helpful for me, then ask them na siguro wag ka muna guluhin for a period of time. And mamaya ka na lang tawagin if okay ka na. Tell them that you need a space na on your own muna because all of you are confined in your home, in your houses. So, di ba, nasanay tayo before the pandemic that nakikita na lang tayo almost siguro 5 above 5 p.m. Di ba? So siguro hindi natin ma-recognize it. The source of yung stress natin can also come from family kasi nga we are given a break from siguro 8 to 5 we are outside of our houses but ngayon magkakasama tayo diba. So ask them na please give me space muna, give me the time to be on my own, and then siguro from after this, after an hour, after 2 hours, pwede na tayo makapag-usap, pwede nyo na ako ano ba, um, parang kausapin so that you will also have a break even if nasa bahay ka na. So try to identify the source of your problem, and then one thing that could also help is also seek the guidance of the people you trust. Kung comfortable ka to seek help from your teachers, then please do. Kasi yung teachers natin, they are willing to help naman. Lalo na sila Ma'am Abby, sila Ma'am Mirvic. So they are really willing to help you if you have encountered problems, di ba, in your everyday living. Also, support system is really helpful. That is one of the things that really helped me go through a lot of experiences in my life. So it's really, you really have to be careful and really have to be parang, you really have to be careful in who you trust. So try to seek guidance, and then yung kung nasa bahay ka lang, try to take time off from your family by syempre asking permission or informing them, wag lang yung biglang, ayaw sa kong istoryahan, yung manirado o kwarto dayon, di ba? So that's an unhealthy way of communicating. So communication is also helpful, but then you have to be really careful, or you really have to be able to identify kung saan talaga nanggagaling yung stress natin. And then if you are able to identify, confront it, acknowledge it, and then if you need help, further help, then help naman is really available. So,
And it's really also good, 'di ba, to provide
mm-mm,
or to set some boundaries kasi we are
mm-mm,
adjusted dati na
Yes, ma'am.
meron talagang boundary yung work at saka yung ano, yung life mo at home. Separate yung ano mo, separate yung role mo as a worker and as a daughter. Pero ngayon, hindi mo talaga pwedeng masa-separate yan. So, if you're at home, it's better talaga na your place for working is different when you are already in
mm-mm,
relating with your family. Kasi isa din yun siya na reason para ma-set mo talaga yung stress. Ano mo siya. Kumbaga kung pwedeng i-schedule si stress, baka pwede. Ganun.
mm-mm.
Tama ka dyan, ma'am. Sir, we also have a question coming from Mar Mangunon. His question is, they say that eating chocolates and drinking chocolate beverages reduces stress. Any scientific or psychological evidences on this, sir?
Siguro everything in moderation lang talaga. But as far as I know, it can help, but do not overeat. Kasi baka sa sobrang natin, sa sobrang ano ba, sobrang elite, euphoric na yung mood natin, we do some things that we will regret later on. But as what I
Nagbe-binge
have,
na.
Tama.
so as far as I know, it can help. Siguro lang talaga, moderate lang na intake of chocolates. Kasi nga, di ba, when we go to special education, we do not feed the children special needs chocolate kasi they become hyper or they find it difficult to sleep during night time. So, ganun din sa atin. We have to, although it can be helpful for us, it can get us hyper siguro, or it can help us reduce our stress, but of course, in moderation lang and in the right timing. Kasi, we do not want to do lagi the things that you will regret doing later on. So, ang mas helpful would be the dark chocolate. Yung dark chocolate ba tawag yan
Hindi
na
masyadong matamis, hindi
yeah,
masyadong
hindi masyadong matamis. That is more advisable than the milk chocolate or ano pa ba yung ibang variants of chocolate. So,
Pero hindi talaga yung true to all ha. Kasi meron din iba na pag pinapakain mo ng chocolate, they find it very stressful because they hate the food.
mm,
Hindi yun siya comfort
allergies.
food for them.
Mm-mm.
Okay, sir. Before we move to our next question, no, I have also a personal question to you, sir. Um, have you ever felt stress also, sir, before that really challenged you?
Lalabas
Eh,
mo pa.
Stre- Actually, every day is talaga, parang hindi natin maiiwasan. But the most siguro stressful na you would also encounter in the when you after you graduate, if you have the plans in doing so, is taking the board exam. Yeah, yun talaga yung one stressful, really stressful because you have to prepare months ahead. Hindi siya yung parang hindi siya parang on the day sure ka na you will be able to answer everything. You will be able to um, pass yung natin. But it's stressful because you have to prepare for months ahead, and then you're unsure. The feeling of uncertainty kasi, because even if you've read all of the books, even if you've read all of the reviewers, you've perfected the mga drills ng mga review centers natin, or yung grades natin are okay, or magna cum laude ka, but it doesn't guarantee the fact that you will pass the board exam, because it all boils down to how you answered those test papers on that day. So it's really stressful kasi it's uncertain. You do not know what would be the outcome after. So parang siguro what I did during those times is I really tried to study. No, I really tried to. I balanced kasi I was working at that time. I also was studying. So parang you have to balance those things, and then there are pagdating sa work, there are still you have to do your responsibilities. Pagdating sa studies, you have to pass your papers, you have to do your case studies. Relate si Ma'am Abby Ana, di ba? So you ha- it's stressful if you think about it because ang daming ginagawa and then it tends to overwhelm you, it tends to confuse you because you do not know ano yung uunahin mo. But thankfully or ano parang what I did is I did time management. So every night dapat talaga I have to at least give 2 hours of studying. Or over the weekend after classes, you have to study. And then ano naman, if you're vacant at work, wala kang ginagawa, you grab that opportunity to study. So ayun, and with the help of friends naman din and also my own coping mechanisms, I was able to ano naman din pass the board exam thankfully. So yun nga it also matters, it also boils down to how you see the situation. If you think of it as if na parang defeatist na yung mindset mo na mabagsak lagi ko kay daghan ko ginabuhat dili na ko ni kaya. So there is a possibility na mangyayari yun because law of attraction, di ba, uso man na siya karon kanang you post it, you say na magkakaroon ako ng jowa this 2021 or I will pass it ganyan ganyan. So it's parang it's a way also of saying that if you think you would fail, there is a possibility that you would fail. If you think you would pass, then you will pass. But of course, it's all up in the air kung hindi pa na-announce yung results. So, di ba, parang grabe yung kakulbaan na. But, yun nga, once you see the results and then you've seen the, ano ba, the outcome of what you did, then you're really happy. And then, you also have to accept na lang talaga na um, things happen. If you do not pass, then there might be other plans for you. If you pass, then this might be the right this you are on the right track. You're on the right path. So it's just a matter of how you see things and how you cope with those stressful situations that you have to cope with.
Thank
Tama.
you, sir.
Nakakatawa talaga.
Okay, sir, another question from Irene Yata. Matatawag po ba na stress or depress ang pagiging magugulatin?
So ano ba? Ako kasi I'm also magugulatin at some ano. So I don't think it's sign of stress or depression, but it's a normal response. It's the sa nervous system natin you have this very well-known fight or flight response. So if you're confronted with a parang sitwasyon na kana ganing ano ba kana
Shock.
stressful or shocking. So your mind goes into fight or flight. So it's either you fight or you leave the sa anong situation. So kana man din makuratan ka, labi na pagka napakuratan ka sa imong kauban or someone ba na you're taken aback or you're taken parang you're not prepared. So it's just a normal reaction, but then you're able to recover naman. So it's not siguro if it could be a sign of stress or depression if it interferes with your normal functioning. Kasi yun yung pag-categorize natin, di ba? If it interferes with your day-to-day functioning, that can cause abnormality or this is a sign already of abnormality. So if simple na panggugulat lang can ko na parang murag dugay ka kagat over nagipakuratan ka or gamay sounds na you get easily frightened. So that may be a sign of you are really it really is preoccupying you. So that might be you might need a further help in whenever that is the case. So kailangan lang talaga na we have to note if it is interfering with our day-to-day living.
And I think it's much related, not to stress or depression, but for panic attacks. Mas
Mm.
marirelate yung mga yun.
Yes, ma'am. We
From
still
ano
have
to?
another
Mm,
from Honey Solomon. Sir, is it normal po ba na mag-rely sa ibang tao para maging happy? Mapunan ang sariling kakulangan at para mawalang stress. Pero paano
mm.
pag yung tao na yun is mawawala? Ano po yung posibleng outcome po?
Oh my gosh,
Hugot kay si Ma'am Honey. Okay
hindi
ka lang,
ko
ma'am?
nahuhutan.
May
Hindi,
pinagdadaanan.
one thing that I would also like parang say that you do not have to put your happiness on other people. Hindi natin siya kailangan iasa sa ibang tao because happiness can be a state of mind. It can come from other sources, not only with other person, with one certain person. It can come from you. It can come from other people. But kung mo man yung iasa imong sariling happiness to another person, then it can cause problems talaga. It can really be hard on your end kasi why in the first place, why would you try to seek happiness from another person if you can provide it on your own? If you can create happiness on your own. And that's what it's not parang impossible for us because as what I've mentioned, we are human beings, we're capable of we have the mechanisms, we have the we have the protocols on how we recover on our own. And dapat lang talaga na before we are able to give ourselves to other people, before we are able to provide care as psychologists, as psychiatrists, or other mental health professionals, we have to be able to take care of ourselves first. And that goes to a kumbaga not parang a normal person that before you are able to give the happiness or seek happiness for other people, you have to be happy. You have to put that ikaw muna yung maging happy before you give that happiness or before you put your happiness in other people. Kasi if he will be gone or if she will leave you, the happiness that you gave sa kanya, parang hindi siya kawalan because you know within yourself that you're happy. Alam mo na masaya ka, that you can be happy on your own. So, if bibiyaan mo kanina ma'am or unsa ba, ayaw lang siguro take this time to heal and then to find that happiness for yourself. Na dili na nimo kailangan iasa sa ibang tao.
Yung parang ano, yung totoong happiness is giving
Mm-mm.
others the love that you first deserve. Yung ganun yung ano
Yes,
dapat
tinuod yun na siya.
o, di ba?
Mm-mm.
Tapos, di talaga, ano, honestly, I really love to educate din kasi, Sir Glenn, especially
Mm-mm.
when individual, marami kasi to yung mga gumagamit ng mga sentence na hindi ako mabubuhay kapag wala ka, ikaw yung mundo. Yung mga ganyang sentence kasi,
Mm-mm.
doon mo palang makikita na yung taong yun, very dependent siya sa love ng iba.
Mm-mm.
Hindi mo nakikita sa kanya yung self-contentment. So,
Mm-mm.
it will usually results to a problem na when he or she will be in another relationship, ganun ulit yung mangyayari. So, parang na-accept niya na sa past relationship, hindi talaga nag-work, and then here comes a new relationship, and then eventually, kung ano yung naging ano niya, kung ano yung naging problem niya dun sa first relationship, ganun yung nangyari. So, babalik at babalik hanggang sa hindi niya talaga may realize na yung self-content is really better to provide a real happiness rather than giving 100% of yourself to that person.
Hugot sa Ma'am Abby.
Grabe no. Kasi nga hugot ulit.
Hugot sa
Nadadala,
yan.
nadadala ako,
Mm-mm.
sir.
But add lang, if I may add, it really is true, no, most especially in this developmental stage kasi these individuals are in a stage where they have to they are still figuring out who they are. And then, if we are still given the opportunities to experiment, to try out new things, diba? And then, siguro, let's say you are given that in parang siguro you gave yourself the parang incident na or the chance to rely on someone else for your happiness. Siguro, okay, we might have made that mistakes, as ano na. But as what Ma'am Abby said, we do not have to continually do that. We have to learn from our previous experiences so that we can apply it to the other relationships we have. Di naman na siya sa mauyab mo. It can be with friends, it can be with a family. But in the romantic context, again, you have to be able to build yourself first, create your own create your own value system when it comes to love, to relationships, so that when you are in one, or when you are in a romantic relationship, you know who you are, you know who the other person is. And then when you know that you have two separate identities, you work on you work on the unity of those identities, so that, diba, the relationship would work. So never rely on other people for your happiness, unless you're really sure of that person is dili na jud kanya biyaan.
Pero how sure ka talaga na hindi ka niya iiwan?
Unless ba, di ba? Oo nga. Unless you're sure. So
We
kung
will
siguro
always
na ito
never
na
be
is
sure.
nagpakasal ba sila or what, but syempre we cannot really assure that marriage is an assurance of you will not be left, or you will not be parang you
Wala
will be
talagang
successful.
wala talagang
Wala
100%.
forever.
Wala talagang
Wala
assurance.
forever.
Sir, plant-based, ano yan? Based from
Alam, hindi ay. Nawala si Ma'am Abby.
Parang naglag po si Ma'am Abby.
wala. Hello, I'm back.
Ayan,
Yes, ma'am.
okay na.
Ayan na, ma'am.
Yes.
I know not based from experience.
Sige, I got 3 more questions to go. Maraming nagtatanong, pero limit natin
Yes, maraming Ito, sir, another question. What instances push people into a flight or flight situation?
So, going back to that question ni Ma'am kanina, no, about the magugulatin. So, for example, you're playing with your parang friends. So, makuratan ka. So, that would be unsa may buhaton. Mag, would you fight, or would you leave that situation, or pasagdan lang nimo, diba? So, for example, in an animals. So, what they do if they are cornered na, you can see that cornered na sila, what they do is um, they show parang aggressive behavior, or parang their animal behavior. So it's either you would know if may signs, di ba, na kung ano ka na they are willing to fight, or they just want to leave. So same as human beings, for example, at work, so ganito, you as a worker, syempre, you have to parang you present an idea to your boss, and then you are very passionate about the subject, you're very passionate about that idea, and then here is parang he shoots down the idea, or she shoots down the idea, parang ayaw na i-approve. So as one person who is very passionate about that, and then yung nervous system natin kicks in. So that's when your body shows the fight or flight response. Now, will you fight for this project, or will you just leave it be? Pasagdan na lang mo siya, and then try to accommodate what the boss is doing. So, or what is the boss is suggesting. So that is one instance. A fight or flight in school. Ano pa ba? Kung you're cornered by siguro ka na, if you're cornered with a lot, or if you're bombarded with a lot of schoolwork, pwede rin yan. Will you continue on and perform the schoolwork that you have to, or you have to leave for pasabda na lang dyan mo siya, bahala na kung sa imong grado. So, those are some instances lang of fight or flight. But then again, it is a nervous system response. Okay? So, parang ano na natin siya, it's innate in our bodies. So if you're with a threatening situation, what would you choose? Would you fight, or would you fly? Or would you would you fight, or would you flight the situation? So parang ganun.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. We have also a question coming from Eileen Pedarios Oxin. Good morning po, sir. Ano po ba ang role ng isang listener sa taong stress? Kasi imbes na magbigay ng advice, ang sasabihin lang ay nag-iinarte ka lang or like naisip mo lang yan. Huwag kang OA, ganun po. Thank you.
Yeah.
Parang ano, very dismissive. Siguro ano din, ano bang role talaga ng listener? So, listen. Diba? Parang she included in her question, what is the role of the listener? So, just to listen. It's not necessary if for example, ako lalapit ako kay Ma'am Abby na, Ma'am Abby, ganito yung nararamdaman ko, I feel down, I feel stressed. Ma'am Abby does not have to say anything. She's not required to say anything. If she is willing to listen, she can just listen and then she can say assuring words that I'm here for you. Sige, unsa man itong pwede buhaton, unsa man yung gibati, asa man ta ka pwede at i-add to para matabangan ka. It doesn't have to be na gano'n na parang OA lang ka or naiisip mo lang yan kasi you're parang disregarding the struggle of the person because hindi naman lalapit ang tao sa'yo if she or he has no problem. He or she will not seek for help if kaya niya. Di ba? Kasi kung kaya natin, why would we ask for help? But if a person is approaching you and asking for advice or asking for help, it doesn't necessarily na ano kailangan may masabi ka. You just have to be there to listen and then to 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 help kung kailangan niya ng help physically or ano ba. You don't have to as people kasi lalo na if a person is struggling and then seeks for our help and then tayo nasa mood wala tayo sa parang we do not meet that certain mood na parang kung stress siya ako, okay ako. So why would I become a part of her or his problem? Kung pwede naman maging okay ako, tapos siya hindi. So that is why siguro people say that because they just dismiss it as something na your own struggle. Diba? So if you struggle with that and then siguro we think that kasi tayo okay yung pakiramdam natin parang wala mo ko stress, okay mo na akong pamati. So siguro okay na okay na kanang ayun na siya una kay mawala ra man gyapon na. But then if you are really willing to listen to the struggle of that person or to that plight of that person, you just have to be there. You do not have to necessarily say anything. You're not required to say anything, but you just have to be there to listen. And then, kung makilala ka that could really help the person, then you bring that person to that professional or to that someone so that appropriate help can be given. So, wag lang natin, as siguro to our listeners also, if a person approaches you seeking for help, wag natin i-disregard yung feelings niya because we may mistakenly do that all the time lalo na if we are not feeling we do not parang mirror the feeling of that person. So you just have to listen and then bring that person to someone who can help and then it will be really appreciated by that person. Kaysa naman may sabihin ka, kaysa naman may sabihin ka na hindi maganda, mas mabuting wala ka na lang sabihin and then may gawin ka to help that person.
Less talk, less mistake.
Actually, yes, let's talk less mistake dyan lang.
And it's din talaga, it's really a must to understand the difference between listening and just hearing. Kasi si hearing, wala yung signs ng you cannot see the signs of empathy for that. Unlike those people who are actually listening to your sentiments, to your concerns, it's very different when you are really just hearing them out. Tama talaga yun. You're not there to actually be an advisor. Hindi sila lumapit sa'yo to become their advisor. Because if you advise them, ang problem kasi dyan, if you become an advisor and then ginawa nila yung mo, baka ikaw pa yung naging dahilan kung bakit mas lumala yung problema nila. Ikaw pa yung babalikan. Dito papasok yung ikaw na yung na-stress. So let's talk, let's
That's why it is very important din, ma'am, no, na dapat piliin natin yung right person na mapag-sharean natin.
Mm-hmm.
Para
Oo. Kasi minsan din, ayoko na magsabi. Charot. Ako
So wala po
lang.
personal ano si Ma'am Abby, personal
Meron na
experience.
may hila na to Ayoko na. Sige na, next question na tayo.
Okay, sir. Next question, we have from Jessame to Bill to Yogon. How to identify po kung depressed ang isang tao, and is it possible na ma-depress ang tao kahit di niya ma-identify ang reason?
How to identify? One, ayun nga, if you are not able to do the things that you normally do day to day, that could be a sign of distress. But it doesn't necessarily have to mean na ano talaga siya, depressed. But if you go to a clinician's point of view, si Ma'am Abby, kabalo man dyan ang ano, DSM, but if you go to clinician's point of view, there are symptoms that we have to see or we have to check, just this determine from a person if he or she is depressed. So kanto ng mga checklist, trouble sleeping, changes in some of it were mentioned kanina, changes in behavior, mayat, lethargic. So those are some of the signs that a person can be depressed. Can a person be diagnosed with depression even if we do not know the cause? It can be possible. Okay? It can be, ano kay, one day, it can be, ito yung scenario natin when it comes to depression. One day, okay ka. Pag abot ani na ano karong adlaw, mukalit na lang kag kawala og gana, you find it difficult to talk to, you find it difficult to talk to people, to sleep, to eat. So, dili nato ma-determine ang exact cause, but the person is demonstrating signs of depression. So that can be possible. So before you are able to say that you are depressed, kailangan nato professional point of view, kailangan nato makita ang kailangan nato maka-consult with someone professional for them to really say that you are depressed. Okay, some mistakes I've seen siguro is people say that they are depressed and they misconstrue it as sad. Kung maingon magutag sad, it is a normal feeling. Kung mawalaan kag uya, mabulagan ka, that is sad. But if you feel that you have no energy to do the things that you normally do, like kung ganahan ka magpaint, wala na kay gana magpainting, ganahan ka ba ka dili na ka mosulod sa klase, ni kalit na kag di na mosulod sa klase, that can be a sign of depression. So, yeah, we need to differentiate those terms and then of course seek professional help when needed. Kasi kung yun yung mga makita natin sa sarili natin and we cannot do anything about it, then we have to seek for someone who can really help us. So, be careful lang din in saying that you're depressed or you're in any mong feeling because yun nga, we might mabutang sa itong utok na yung ana ba and then lahi na ang ato ang behavior, lahi na ang ato ipakita. So, we really have to be careful in doing so.
Tama.
Tama. Thank you, sir, no?
Ako talaga.
Probably, sir, the greatest denominator of winning against stress is our mindset talaga, no? I think a positive mindset, whether you feel stress or you stress, will always internally win you over any circumstances. Kahit na we seem to win or lose outwardly, just like in the Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, sabi niya doon na it is a reaction that hurts us and not the situation. Ayun, sir.
Ang lalim.
And just a point and just a point of realization, sir, na I think even a typical stress that bring us down yet allows us to learn and grow is a good stress in a way.
Oo, kaya thesis is eustress.
Dili stress ang thesis, stress kay para makagraduate.
Oh. Kasi marami, iba yung distinction eh. Lalo na dun sa mga estudyante ko ngayon, tapos sinasabi nila, ma'am, stress na ma'am, pwede wala ng research. Hindi, eustress yan.
Pang Christmas na lang, ma'am.
Pamas ko, i-greet ko na lang talaga i-greet ko na lang talaga ng message. Mas papadalahan ko kayo ng caroling ko na kanta-kanta, sige lang. Basta magre-research ka na ko.
Okay, I think that is our last question, sir.
Actually, marami eh. Kaso,
Oh,
kulang lang talaga.
marami.
Mm,
Okay,
next
to
time.
everyone.
Kung
Yes,
ano,
yes, sir. Next time.
Sa susunod. Sa susunod na kabanata.
Let's invite Sir Clint again.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay, to our viewers, to everyone, we appreciate that you have given your questions, but unfortunately, we cannot entertain it all due to the time. So, but then again, we thank you for sending all your questions. Sir, thank you once again for answering the questions and for being our speaker this morning. An e-certificate of appreciation is in order. Okay, let's just wait for a while. Okay, allow me to read. Jose Maria College, Philippine-Japan Friendship Highway sa Davao City, College of Arts and Sciences Education. Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Clint Rodney M. De Lima, RPM, MSP, RSI, for sharing his valuable knowledge as the guest speaker in the webinar entitled A Young Adult's Guide to Stress Management, given this 18th day of December 2020, signed by Ms. Abigail Grace B. Escobedo, RPM, M. MSci, RSci, our BSP program head, as well as Sir Mark S. Alimanya, MAED, the Case College Dean. Thank you very much, sir.
And thank you so much.
thank you. Salamat. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to provide this talk because we know that stress is really something that is being felt around the world. And as ano ba, as even if we're not young adults, even if we're children, adolescents, senior citizens, stress is a universal feeling. So hopefully you were able to really pick something from this lecture that I did and hopefully apply it to your lives and to your and how to manage your stress as young adults and everyone who are listening as participants. So thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
We
sir.
learned a lot.
And of course, the success of this webinar will not happen without the help of our participants who spared their time attending this webinar. And because of that, a certificate of participation will be provided. Okay, so let me read the citations again. Jose Maria College, Philippine-Japan Friendship Highway, sa Davao City, College of Arts and Sciences Education, Certificate of Participation is given to for virtually attending the webinar entitled A Young Adult's Guide to Stress Management, given this 18th day of December 2020, signed by Ms. Abigail Grace B. Escobedo, RPM, MSci, RSci, the BSP Program Head, together with Sir Clint Rodney M. De Lima, RPM, MSI, RSci, our guest speaker for today, as well as our Case College Dean, Mr. Mark S. Alimanya, MAED. Thank you once again. And
Thank
before
you.
we end our thank you. And before we end our webinar, I would like to request Sir Clint and Ma'am Abby for a photo of this webinar together with the certificate of appreciation given to Sir Clint.
Sige. One, two,
One.
three. Ah, sige, go. Ikaw, Don.
Ako mag-picture, ma'am.
Hindi, ikaw mag-count.
Ah, okay. One, two, three, smile. Okay, another one, ma'am. One, two, three, smile.
Okay.
Once again, thank you, Sir Clint and Ma'am Abby, and to
Thank you.
everyone for attending today's webinar. And on behalf of the psychology program, once again, I am Donabel G. Pascual, your MC for today's webinar. It is my pleasure to host this event and a pleasant morning to everyone. We hope to see you again next time in our upcoming webinar for the next semester. Again, thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank
That
you.
ends another substantive discussion on JMC EduTrends, produced by the Jose Maria College Communication Affairs Office. On behalf of our founding president, Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy, thank you for being with us. Join us again next time for another interesting, inspiring, and transcending discussion on JMC EduTrends. Bye everyone and keep safe.
Ang galing-galing mo.